As a fan of college football, specifically the Ohio State Buckeyes, let's get into what happened in the first round of the 2025 NFL Draft. Let's go. What's up, fans? It's your girl, Autumn the Aries from the Lit Life Podcast, where I encourage you to live your life autonomously because I always still have to say that no matter what I'm recording. But I'm coming to you tonight as a fan. Shout out to everybody that came in and watched the NFL draft with me last night. It was basically just a casual little live that I did that I decided to do. Nothing too formal. Just chatted up with a few friends, met some new people, got some subs. And speaking of subs, make sure you hit the like, make sure you hit the subscribe, make sure you share this. If this is your jam, if you like talking about college football, or if you like talking about NFL football, if you like talking about sports, or as I get into this a little bit later, I'm going to be talking about other things as a fan. But right now, y'all know I'm focusing on my Ohio State Buckeyes and what they did in the NFL draft. But of course, we can't go without talking about what happened with Shedeur Sanders as well. So let's get into it. First and foremost, the Ohio State Buckeyes had 4 players in the first round. More than anybody else. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I ain't trying to, toot my horn or whatever, but you know what I'm saying? The national champions had 4 players chosen in the 2025 draft last night in the first round. So we had Emeka Egbuka. I always fuck his name up. I'm so sorry. But he was 19th. He's a wide receiver from Ohio State. He was 19th overall and went to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We had Donovan Jackson, who is an offensive guard. He went 24th overall to the Minnesota Vikings. We had Tyleik Williams, a defensive tackle, who went 28th overall to the Detroit Lions. And we had Josh Simmons, who was an offensive tackle, who went 32nd to the Kansas City Chiefs. So, as a part of this, we have to talk about a pipeline from Ohio State wide receivers to the NFL draft, because let's get it straight. Ohio State is wide receiver you. I don't really want to hear it. Okay, I don't really want to hear it. There's really nothing that I really want to hear from anything that anybody has to say about wide receivers coming out of Ohio State, regardless of when they went to the NFL and what they did or did not do. Because there's a whole lot of people still talking shit about Marv, and I just feel like Marvin Harrison Jr. is an elite receiver, and when he's paired with the right team and with the right surroundings, I think he'll do well, because y'all cannot tell me that Marv was not whooping ass. Marv's already Marv is what we was calling him. You know what I'm saying? So let's not do that. But in the past 4 years, Ohio State has had 5 receivers go into the draft. So we have to give Brian Hartline his flowers as we speak, because the wide receiver room has always been nothing but stellar. So who did we have? We had Emeka, who went this year. We had Chris Olave in 2022. We had Garrett Wilson also in 2022. We had Jackson Smith in 2023, because I'm not gonna mess up his hyphenated name, but y'all know who the hell I'm talking about. And again, we had Marvin Harrison Jr. last year. Where did he go? To the Cardinals? I think he went to the Cardinals. So shout out. I just, you know what I'm saying? Big ass, fat ass shout out to my Ohio State Buckeyes, who dominated, dominated the first round of the draft. We'll see what we do in the rest of the draft. There's still a few people that are available to go, and we'll see. I'll keep track. I'm not gonna do this after every single round, but maybe at the end of the draft, I'll be able to come back and just give an overview of everything of what the Buckeyes did in the entire draft. Now, I wanted to highlight what each conference did. So the SEC snagged 15 selections in the draft, and this is not anything new. The SEC is one of the most dominant divisions in college football. So kudos to them. They snagged 15. One thing about it, 2 things are certain. I really hate that they changed our name from the Big Ten. Okay, so I still say Big Ten. I try to show a little bit of respect and just put the B and the I and the one and the G, but I really hate it. Like if I'm keeping it a buck, if I'm keeping it a buck, I really hate that. So anywho, the Big Ten. The Big Ten snagged I know it's more than 10 in there now, but it is what it is. I don't want to hear it. The Big Ten snagged 11 selections in the NFL draft. And then you had the ACC and the Big 12 with 2 apiece. And you had the, I think it's, what is it, Midwest Conference and the FCS. I don't even remember what that stands for, but they each had one. So kudos to them. Shout out to them. So we were all expecting Shedeur to go. I don't know. Were we all expecting Shedeur to go in the first round? I was expecting Shedeur to go to the first round with his teammate Travis Hunter, who was the Heisman Trophy winner, who was he the second overall pick? Let me pull this up, y'all. Stop playing, y'all, so I can make sure I get all the stuff together. All right, let's talk about overall what happened in the first round. In the first round, we had the number one pick. We all knew who the number one pick was going to be, and that was Cam Ward from Miami. Cam Ward ended up going to Tennessee. Cam Ward ended up going to Tennessee. I am extremely happy for Cam Ward. I think he is just a straight up stand up individual. Like, he seems like a great young man. He looked great last night. He seemed pretty calm. And that's one thing I like about Cam when he plays. If you ever watch Cam Ward play, he plays very calm. He never seems to be frazzled, I guess. His demeanor is very calm. I just love that young man to death. I really, really, really do. And then Travis Hunter went number 2, and he seemed extremely excited. He was, he had on this bright pink suit, and he was just very excited. And I'm sure that he knew where he was going. They did recognize him as a wide receiver and a cornerback, which we were wondering like how all of that was going to go. At least I was wondering how all of that was going to go. But he definitely showed up and showed out with his electrifying smile and just his energy. And I am just so happy for the Heisman candidate. Who else did I want to point out today? It's funny because Mason Graham from Michigan, he went number 5 to the Browns. And of course they had to ask him about going back to Ohio and how he felt about that. I mean, technically he shouldn't feel any type of way because he was a part of the winning team on the winning side, playing for Michigan against Ohio State during the time that he was there. Ashton Genty went to the Patriots. And I was really hoping, really, 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 really hoping that Dallas would have taken him. Like, I really was hoping that Jerry would have got his shit together and spent whatever money he had to spend and did whatever trades he had to do to get Ashton, but he didn't. He let me down, of course, again, but whatever. Second round is coming. We're going to see what happens. Who else was notable for me? I know that the Atlanta Falcons ended up with someone from Georgia, Jalen Walker. And it's always like this running joke, like they never try to draft anybody from Georgia, but this time they did. He is a linebacker. Apparently he was great. And I was happy that he was able to just kind of stay stay in Georgia. I thought that was pretty cool. Who else did I want to highlight? Jackson Dart. So Jackson Dart from Ole Miss was drafted to the Giants. Okay, so he's a quarterback, and he was one of those guys, this was one of those teams where they felt like Shedeur should have gone over Jackson Dart, and we all know that the Giants don't ever be having no black quarterback, so just keep it real. So I think that's kind of how that happened. And the young man, let's see, who went to Dallas, Tyler Booker. Tyler Booker was someone that stood out to me as well last night. He was the 12th overall pick. He's an offensive guard. And when I tell y'all, Tyler was lit. Like, he was probably the most happiest draft pick last night. Like, he was so damn lit. He ran down that hallway and he hit the damn star, and he running like, how about the Cowboys? I'm like, that's the type of energy we need. That is the energy I felt like that was a good pick for us. We need somebody on our offensive line, because I don't want to hear nothing about Dak not having no protection. I don't want to damn hear it. So hopefully this young man from Alabama can get the, can help to get the job done and keep Dak protected. Who else? Who else was notable for me? Philly traded up and got Jihad Campbell from Alabama. He's a linebacker. So they made that trade at the very, very end of the night. And I think that those were the most notable for me that I would have wanted to speak about here. So on to Shedeur. Let's talk about Shedeur real quick and then we're going to get up out of here. So we all thought, at least I thought, that Shedeur was going to go in the first round. And from what I understand, there's a few teams that need quarterbacks, right? So we had, of course, Tennessee was going to take Cam. It wasn't going to be it wasn't going to be nobody but Cam, which made perfect sense, right? And then you had New York, who took the New York Giants, who took Jackson Dart. And then so Pittsburgh needed quarterback. I can't remember. It's like two other teams. There were a few teams that could have used a quarterback, and they all passed on Shedeur. As we all know, Shedeur Sanders is the son of the Hall of Famer Deion Sanders, Neon Deion, Primetime, Coach Prime, whatever it is you want to call him at this point. And there were some people who questioned Shedeur's readiness as far as him going as a first round pick, because of course, the first round picks are expected to be standout players, right? They felt like he was going to be, his performance was pretty subpar for a quarterback that would go in the first round. And then there was other people that was like, no, we're not even going to do that. Shedeur is a great quarterback. He has great mobility. He is good with pocket passing. Like, he's a good quarterback. There are my thoughts. Let me say what my thoughts were. I feel like there's a couple of things going on here. Our teams, a lot of the chatter was, our teams concerned with dealing with Shedeur because of Deion. And probably, although I just don't want to think that way. Like, maybe it's because maybe I'm naive. Maybe I'm that person. You know what I'm saying? Like, I kept saying all night last night on the stream, like, okay, these teams are picking who they think would fit them best. I don't ever want to think that they are overlooking a great quarterback because they don't like the company they keep. I mean, or they don't like the hype surrounding them or whatever. I mean, if we look at the average NFL player that people know of, all of these guys are about a bunch of glitz and glam at this point. I don't think anybody should fault Shedeur for standing 10 toes down in his confidence. He's a confident young man, just like his daddy. He gonna talk his shit just like his daddy, as he should. I don't even care if he ain't like, of course he's not a Cam Ward, but even if he's not like a number one draft quarterback, you know what I'm saying? He should be able to talk his shit. We've seen this over time. We've had our Deion Sanders. We've had our Terrell Owens. We've had just all of our folks who was out there just talking their shit. Now, my thing is if you're going to talk that shit, I'm going to need you to stand in it. So when it's time to get rolling, I don't want to hear nothing or nothing. My only real concern when it comes to him and his dad is that I hope that wherever he goes, he understands that he's probably not going to get the same type of treatment, whatever that treatment was, because I'm not saying good, bad, or indifferent, but he's not going to get that same treatment. He's not going to get that same like everybody focusing on him as Deion Sanders' son. If indeed there was any coddling or anything like that going on, like, he's not going to get any of that. And I want him to go in as Shedeur Sanders and not Deion Sanders' son. And I think that he does want to stand on his own too. I think he wants to be his own man. Think he wants to be his own great quarterback and not really be in the shadows of Deion. Unfortunately, it's just a thing. Like, that's just, everybody's always going to look at him that way. You know what I'm saying? They're going to compare him to his dad, even though they play two totally different positions. And it's just kind of going to be what it is. It's going to follow him no matter what. And anything that Deion does is going to, in a sense, affect the way people treat Shedeur or the way they look at him. Either way it goes, I am rooting for Shedeur. We're about an hour into the second round, and I haven't watched any of it yet because I wanted to get this video recorded. But I am hoping and praying that Shedeur gets to a team and Shedeur gets there and he shows his ass. I hope that he goes out there and throws for however many damn yards, as many as he need to throw for, and connect with his teammates, and he goes in there as a leader and he outshines what people even thought that he was capable of. That is what I'm hoping for Shedeur Sanders. So good luck, young man. I hope you go out there and whatever team picks you is going to get a great quarterback. And I'm glad that he is still keeping his head up. He was talking this shit last night, basically saying this ain't doing nothing but add fuel to the fire. And I know that's right. I know that is correct. So anywho, thank you for tuning in to this segment of As a Fan of College Football. Should you like this episode, again, you made it to the end, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. You know what I'm saying? I put my little cash app down there just because, you know what I'm saying, just in case anybody want to, buy me lunch or, you know what I'm saying, buy me some coffee or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Just say, hey, girl, this was good. You know what I'm saying? It's down there. Just in case y'all want to do that. Shout out to the Big Network and the Ohio State Buckeyes for the graphics that I use, because I did not put these together, but I do want to make sure that you guys know that this is where this came from. And I think that's it. You know what I'm saying? I think that's it. I'll be back. Enjoy the rest of the draft. I hope your teams get who they need outside of, you know what I'm saying, our rival teams, because my team is Cowboys, so fuck everybody else. But until we meet again, peace.